Hello. So I had this pretty interesting dream not too long ago. Not as of right now. I was hanging out with my dad, but I ooh. Okay. So it starts out in a small little town in Idaho. I don't know where in Idaho. I just know that it was a small town in Idaho because there was the ID everywhere. And imagine maybe a plot of, let's say maybe like 3 acres, maybe, just like flat land of just these small houses to townhouses, in the shape of a square that has roads that leads off into very thick forest, super tall trees. You can kind of see little mountains or really big hills on the side. I wouldn't really call them mountains. And yeah, so that's kind of the setting. And I am there with my family. And it was kind of funny because quarantine was still going on even in my dream. There were like two different stores that were closed that we were going to go get food at. One looked like this Vietnamese one, and this other one, I honestly want to say it was more like a hotel than a food store. And so we go up top, and there's this little hill on the top, and there's this one house that is kind of like a rectangle, and then this sharp triangle that leads off into the end. And I go to the door, and it's like the door's open. It's like, welcome, like, come in, there's food here, all this stuff. It was like someone's home was open to the public. So I branch off from my family and I go inside, and lo and behold, it's the house of a YouTuber I watch. I was like, whoa. And this man, he's a spiritual YouTuber. He is a self-claimed Breatharian. And for those of you that don't know, Breatharian are people that live mainly off of the energy of prana, or air, life force. There are many different names for it. I guess you could even call it chi, but that's where they get the majority of their energy. Yes, they'll still drink. You could call them like liquidarian, where they would drink maybe juiced foods, maybe smoothies, but nothing solid. No chewing. So I see him, and he looks different. He looks younger than how he looks now, and he had long hair in the beginning, but then he ended up shaving it. And I was like, holy cow, I can't believe this is him. And the first thing that happened is I started to act different. So this is a sure sign that I'm not 100% comfortable with who I am. So I gotta work on that. I gotta have more confidence in myself. Yeah, so that's the first part of the interpretation. But then, as it kept going, I kept hanging out with him, and he had all this food, and I was like, wow, you don't eat this, do you? Like, no, just chilling. And make this smoothie. It was really spicy, oddly enough, and I don't know, I think that's because I gave my parent and my mom and my little brother food earlier, and I put cayenne pepper, so I'm sure that was still roaming on in my head. And the small town in Idaho has to do with a place that I looked at moving at, which was a smaller town in Idaho. But I think that kind of deteriorated me, or at least it showed me what I think of a small town in Idaho as not having much, but it has the nature that I want. And so if that is more important to me, then I mean, I'll go for it. But I keep talking with, his name is Taylor, or we'll call him Taylor because that's his really real name. So me and Taylor start talking, and we start, getting into spiritual aspects, and he goes into this one thing. He's like, yeah, man, I was just thinking about the first cause of human suffering. I was like, what? You know this? He's like, yeah, man. Like, he was talking as if he had an experience where he was able to go back in time and see the first time that a human suffered. I was like, whoa, that's pretty cool. And my mom came around. She's like, come on, we gotta go do all these things. I was like, no. And then he's like, yo, do you know who Yamcha is? And if I'm remembering right, Yamcha is a Dragon Ball Z character. But that wasn't clicking at the moment. I was like, I know that name, Yamcha. But the way he was saying it made me think of like some spiritual person. So, Taylor comes out and he starts talking with my family because he's my parents see that he's kind. They see that I'm warming up to him, and he comes and joins us, and we go to this bigger house that we're all staying at, which I want to say is due to me talking with my mom earlier about the house that I'm staying at right now, which is my childhood home. It is pretty large, and I asked her if she ever thought if about owning a house this big when she was younger. She told me that she didn't expect it, and yada yada yada. But I want to say that's why we were in this house, because we also talked about how we could probably house another family here, and we have, such as my cousins, and that's kind of what was going on. The house that we were in was pretty crowded, and everyone, at least in my family, whenever we have people in, like, everyone just kind of congregates around them, like, hey, welcome, all this stuff. There's immediately welcomed in with loving arms. And so that's how it went with Taylor. And we're talking, and he starts, we go back to talking about spiritual stuff, all that stuff. We're hanging out in my parents' bedroom in this house that is in Idaho and all that stuff. And he starts eating Twinkies, and I was like, don't you not do that? And he's like, hey man, like it happens. And I was like, dude, I get it, because as much as I hold to my vegan fruitarian diet and stuff, I still give myself times to eat other foods, to study myself, to kind of work through why I still like them, to work at these bonds I have. And so I was like, nah, bro, I get it, don't worry about it. He's like, thank you. And yeah, then he starts talking to someone else about Yamcha, and they're like, oh yeah, I know. He's like, yo, you want to go see him? I was like, yes, please. And my mom's like, you gotta stay. And I was like, no, come on. and to not take it literally, and as in my mom was holding me back from growing, but it's more of it felt like my mom was hindering my spiritual growth. And it's because I care about my mom's views about me. I care about what my parents think about me. That is something that holds me back from sharing certain experiences and stories I've had that, they have affected me pretty largely, but it's because certain parts of those stories I know would upset my family. And I don't want to do that. And that is me mentally letting my family hold me back from sharing my experiences that grew me, as well as also holding me back from growing, because there are certain things that I will not do because I don't want to upset my family. And so this was kind of a manifestation of that, and how it can hold me back. And it's kind of conflicted, because I don't want to be disrespectful, and nothing that I've done has been inherently disrespectful, especially hasn't been malicious aimed towards them. And this act that I was going to go do to see Yamcha with Taylor wasn't malicious towards my family. So it's interesting how that manifested there. And it seemed harmless, because I was just going to go hang with a friend. That's kind of how it was going. So yeah, definitely gonna meditate on that and see how I let my family hold me back. Because it's not like they are holding me back. They're not at all. It's just I make an excuse that they are. So that's interesting. Anyway, that was a dream interpretation. I hope y'all enjoyed. Peace.